My name is Karen Alston, and I am a board member of the Edgewood Brooklyn Family Support Collaborative. The Edgewood Brooklyn Family Support Collaborative is a community support organization that builds resiliency, self-sufficiency, and healthy futures for the individuals and families living throughout Washington, D.C. Thank you for joining us today for our monthly collaborative conversations. We've launched this series to share stories from members of our team, partners, and clients about how the Edgewood Brooklyn Family Support Collaborative continues to be a community support for everyone living in wards 5 and 6 in Washington, D.C. During these conversations, you will hear how we work with empathy, dignity, and respect, and learn more about the impact we have had over the last 25 years. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I am so excited because today's conversation is with Tomeika Bowden. Tomeika is president of the board of directors of Edgewood Brooklyn Family Support Collaborative. In her daytime role, she is the chief communications officer at the DC Public Charter School Board. Prior to working at DC Public Charter School Board, Tomeika worked on public policy issues, both at the national and local levels, serving as Deputy Press Secretary to then Senator John Kerry, and later for the U.S. Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. Tomeika joined our board in 2017 and calls the Fort DuPont neighborhood of Washington, D.C. home. We are so excited to hear Tomeika today and for her to be a part of our family here at Edgewood Brooklyn Family Support Collaborative. So welcome, Tomeika. Why don't you start by telling our viewers a little bit about yourself and what drew you to Edgewood Brooklyn?
Thank you, Karen. I'm glad we're having this conversation today. I was drawn by the work at Edgewood Brooklyn because I truly, I think Marian Wright Edelman said it best, that service is the rent that we pay for being. And I truly believe that we all have talents and time, if not, money to give that can make other people's lives better. I believe every day that I show up, that it's important for me to show up not only as my race of being a Black American, but I am a mother, I am a daughter, I'm a sister, and I'm a friend. And I truly believe that the only way that we can do the work that we do at Edgewood Brooklyn to allow families to live in dignity and respect and live sustainable lives is me being an advocate to ensure that they have the resources that they need in their communities.
That is a wonderful answer. I'm going to go right into the next question and ask you, why do you think it's important that the community supports organization like Edgewood Brooklyn? And also, could you delve into why the existence of Edgewood Brooklyn is so important here in Washington, D.C.?
Before I joined the board, I spent a little time just digging into Edgewood Brooklyn's history and just recognizing that the collaboratives were brought, were the brainchild of lots of people, but it was basically the partnership across multiple communities that saw a need. Definitely saw that there was a large number of people that were needed just additional support in terms of housing, but also with jobs, and sometimes it was language barriers. And they felt like the best way to do that was within these individual wards and communities. I've done a lot of community work over the years, and I recognize that it's very important that people, to understand that people not only live in houses, but they also come from neighborhoods, which then come from communities. And so recognize there's a lot of partnerships within these communities. So Edgewood Brooklyn, I mean, for 24 years has been doing this work and has been a pillar in the Brooklyn Edgewood community, but has also been able to work across the city with other collaboratives as well, tapping into those resources and those talents that are in each one of those communities. So I think the work at the collaborative is extremely important because it helps to bridge the residents that just sometimes need, a small amount of support with resources that are already there. I think as a city, we spend a lot of time thinking about how to make neighborhoods accessible to all. And I think organizations like Edgewood Brooklyn actually take time to build partnerships, which is a key piece of any great neighborhood, is that everyone gets to know their neighbors. They understand, like, they feel like they have a place of being and belonging. And I think organizations like Edgewood Brooklyn have done this work for a long time to ensure that everyone feels a sense of importance in their neighborhoods and feels supported in a place that they feel that they can be for as long as they choose to be there.
That's wonderful. So you are uniquely positioned as our president to be actively involved in so many aspects of the organization. So I just want to ask you, do you have a memory or a moment that stands out as your favorite over the past few years that you've been working with Edgewood Brooklyn?
A memory. There's so many. That's a good point. I would have to say that I think our newest work that we branched off into a few years ago was our partnerships inside of schools. And as we all know, schools have become a pillar that do more than just educate students. They also support families. And so there is one of our staffers works in a school in Minor Elementary, and she supports the school by just troubleshooting and solving problems that really seem mundane, like small problems, but it ends up being a barrier to why kids do not come to school, why they're not ready to learn each day. And in this instance, there were several families that just did not feel safe bringing their kids. They felt safe bringing them to school because they were dropping them off, but the location of where the after school program was in proximity to the school was not a place that they felt comfortable for their young children that were 3, 4, and 5 to walk alone. So one of our staffers, so what families were doing was they were not bringing their kids to school at all because they had to be at work and there was just this barrier. It was easier to find them all day placement versus bringing them to school. And she quickly recognized this issue. And so what she did was set up a aftercare bus. It was a walking bus. And so every afternoon she would grab up the students that needed to walk up like 3 to 4 blocks from the school to aftercare. And she took that upon herself to solve that problem. And so therefore it went from being multiple kids that were not coming to school to now there was an easy solution that was a viable solution, one that didn't cost any additional money. So there was like no additional cost to families, but it was an opportunity for our staff to show their importance of why the work, how we help to support families is so important.
So it's a time of tremendous change locally and nationally. And so I have to ask you at this moment, what excites you the most about the future for Edgewood Brooklyn?
Wow. So I get excited about the work that we do now and also in the future because I believe that we are truly moving mountains for families. I think that we're truly having a large impact in the Edgewood Brooklyn community, but I'm also seeing us expound beyond the Ward 5 and 6 community to serve families in other areas. And I just know that there's a great need. And even now with the pandemic, the need is greater. And so it excites me to see that our small and nimble staff are still able to serve so many families to provide them with supports that ensure that they have long-term sustainable living conditions and support that allows them to be pillars long-term in this community.
So I want you to speak for a moment to someone who doesn't know a lot about Edgewood Brooklyn and share how they can support the work that we do in the community.
So I think that there are a lot of ways that people can get involved with Edgewood Brooklyn. We have every year at the end of the year, we have our Adopt a Family program, which is a great opportunity for you to adopt a family, to buy gifts for the family that the children have asked for all year long. But there's many other things that we need. We need to identify affordable housing. If you are someone that has a building or knows of affordable places that families can live in long term, that's a resource. But also, of course, we'll take money. But if there are other talents that you need, there are a lot of things that are needed to run a nonprofit to support families. And we are open to all you supporting us in that way.
Oh, wonderful. So to sum this up, could you describe our work and what you believe is so vital about what we do and how we help families in Washington, D.C.?
I believe our work is extremely important because we not only support students, we support their families with various programs. We provide housing. We also do a lot of parenting support. The Fatherhood Initiative is an awesome example of additional support that we provide. We know how important it is to have parents in the house and parents that can support their students. But also the other thing that we do that is really large is our workforce development work, which allows families to be able to have a livable wage, to be able to have a house and to stay within their communities, which are all things that strengthen the neighborhoods that our families live in.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tomeika. And thank you for being a part of our board of directors, for leading us. And thank you for all of the work, your talent, and time that you devote to Edgewood Brooklyn Family Support Collaborative.